So Feb March. Let's see if we remember AS Chem. But just in case we don't remember it, we'll be checking our answers every 10 questions, so we can get back to the ones we get wrong. Okay, so let's begin. So which ion has the same electronic configuration as Cl negative? And Cl negative has, okay, wait. Yeah, Cl negative is here. Cl is here, so that has 17 electrons. Atomic number is 17. So idea here is you are looking for an a substance that has the same configuration that has 18 electrons basically. So yeah, so I think scandium should do. और क्या phosphorus positive दिया था वो तो 14 हो जाएगा, that won't make it. और क्या दिया था silicon plus 4 वो तो 10 हो जाएगा. सही है.
But the वैसे ऊपर है and can't really make it.
हाँ, same electronic configuration बोला हुआ है ना. सही है. So that means same number of electrons ताकि आपका जो भी आपके जितने भी p and s orbitals so on. So Sc3 positive 21 है, 3 minus कर दो, कुछ 3 electrons lose कर रहा है, it should be 18 and you're good. So yeah, so that was simple. Question 2, J and K each contain 40% carbon by mass. And if you're trying to calculate carbon by mass, it's basically the mass of carbon over the mass of the substance into 100. So mass of carbon I've written as N, that is the number of carbon atoms, into 12 because that's the AR of carbon, upon MR of the substance into 100. And if we look at this question, basically काफी ख्वारी का काम है. Basically you just have to input all of this stuff into this formula, and whichever two J and K combinations give you 40, that's your answer. But this is interesting. So these two are the same. So more often than not, if in these type of questions, the दो sections हैं, एक section में same दिया हुआ है, means it's either B or C. And let's just confirm. So 5 into 12 plus 10 plus 5 into 16. So iska MR is 150. 5 into 12 divided by 150 into 100 gives you 40. So yeah, so these two are 40. We're good with this, and we just plug in these two and figure out which one is correct. So hexose से start करते हैं. 6 into 12 plus 12 plus 6 into 16. Wait, 6 into 12 plus 12 plus 6 into 16 है ना oxygen का. So 180. 6 into 12 divided by 180 into 100 gives you 40. So this is good. We just basically plugged it into the formula. You got 2B. Okay. So 3. 2 moles. Okay, so 2 moles of compound P were placed in a sealed container. The container was heated, and P was partially decomposed to produce Q and R only. Oops. Let me rub this. So here, a dynamic equilibrium between P, Q, and R was established. The equilibrium. Okay, so at equilibrium, X moles of R were present. So this is important. We know R is X moles. So yeah, this for sure.
And that's the standard we'd compare all of the other moles with.
Yeah. And the total number of moles present was 2 plus half of X. This was the total number of moles. What is the equation for this reversible reaction? So इसको हम किस तरीके से करेंगे? So one way to look at it कि हम 2 moles से we're going to 2 plus X upon 2 moles. Like this is your, this is what we started off with. At equilibrium, we in fact have more moles than we did initially. Like X जो भी हो, negative value तो नहीं होगी, like so जो भी है, if it's 3, 4, whatever, you'll have more than 2. Can we cross out something based on that? Just we were not really increasing. Yeah.
Option C.
Option C, right?
Yeah.
So it's 2 and 2 say 1:1 ka ratio. So you're not really increasing any. So you can cross that one out. बाकी सब के लिए I guess ख्वारी का काम again. I guess trial and error ही करना पड़ेगा. So we have P, which makes Q. which makes R, and we'll do trial and error for A, B, and D, these three things. So and in all, remember, R key value can't change. We know for a fact that R is uh, you know x, x x number of moles, and based on that we will find out figures for the rest and then add them. Basically, that's what we're going to do. So if you look here, this is 1:2 ka ratio. So if R is x, Q can be 2x. So yeah, which will leave P 2 minus x.
Yeah.
Ayub, how would we explain why we write x here rather than 3x, 2x, whatever?
Yeah, it's because R and P are in the ratio 1:1, and if X moles of R are being produced, that would require P moles of X basically. So if we had 2 moles of P initially, if we use up X moles of P, that would give us X moles of R because they're in the ratio 1:1.
Yeah. So basically, if x was half, and like half moles of R were produced, because either 1:1 ka ratio hai, so basically half moles of P had to be subtracted, had to be used up. And if you look at Q and P, that would make, if 1 mole of Q was produced, then P se aap half kaatoge, because 1:2 hai, so just half of P would be enough to produce 1 mole of Q. So that's how this fits. So you just basically add all of this. So this is 2 minus x plus x cut jayega. So this would be 2 plus 2x.
Yeah.
Which is not what we need. So we'll just keep doing this trial and error ki bakwas. Idhar bhi yahi scene hai. If R is x, P is Q, 1:2 ka ratio, that would be 2x. And this would be either 2p diya hua hai वैसे. So it's a 2:1 wali cheez. So it would be 2
minus 2x.
Minus 2x, because 2 से 1 बन रहा है. हाँ सही है. So P would be need to give up 2x to produce 1x of R, because that's just the ratio. Or P would need to give up 2x to get 2x of Q. So other 1:1 ratio है. And if you add this, so ये कट जाएंगे. This is 2 plus x. This is not your answer. So answer आपका D ही होगा, but let's do it anyways. So here we have R is x, and R and Q. Understand, you can't write R as 2x here, because we know for a fact in the question that R is x, which means we just modified everything else. So Q, for it to fit that ratio, it has to be x over 2. And which is interesting, because we did it properly, but like if you were doing it by yourself and proper, like तेजी से करना है, so notice इधर वैसे दिया भी x upon 2 है, and we know R तो x है, so 1:2 या 2:1 वाला रेशियो आपको चाहिए होगा in such a way that कहीं ना कहीं से x over 2 की तो वैल्यू आए. I'm not sure if this makes a lot of sense, but the idea is like udhar se just by this understanding, you would look for R and Q का you would be looking for a ratio of 2:1, ताकि R अगर x है तो Q x upon 2 ho. And if you notice, that's only there in D. So without doing any of this query, you could actually do it very, very quickly, if that explanation makes sense to you, because you're looking for x upon 2. But even if that explanation doesn't make sense, R is x, Q is half of that, and agar P ko dekho, so that would be 2 minus x, right? Because 1:1. And you add this 2:2 or 1:1, exactly. So you add this x and x cut gaya, this will be 2 plus x upon 2, which is basically your answer. So you have 3D, and hopefully if you like when we're doing this stuff sahi se in the paper, you just use that little trick to get the answer much earlier. So yeah, so let's move on to 4. The boiling points of methane, ethane, propane, and butane are given. So basically, increasing carbon chain of alkanes. So yeah, which statement explains the increase in the boiling point from methane to butane? These are all non-polar compounds. So boiling points and melting points depend on intermolecular forces. Non-polar में van der Waals forces ही होंगी. So closer packing of molecules results. Well, I don't think there's closer packing. Here, it is still a straight chain. In fact, let's say if we dissect this a little more, what they mean by this is like when you have different arrangements of the same number of the same molecular formula. Like instead of cyclohexane, you have straight chain hexane. So straight chain hexane, if I remember correctly, can pack itself more closely. So van der Waals forces increase. So that would have a higher boiling point than cyclohexane. Did I say that correctly?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's not what's needed here, but like that's just interesting. More covalent bonds are present. Covalent bonds, interatomic bonds do not in a covalent substance do not lead to melting point, boiling point. More electrons in molecules results in stronger van der Waals forces. Yes, that is it. More hydrogen atoms. Well, you don't have hydrogen bonding here, so that's not your answer. So we have 4C. Moving on.
So the common misconception that people have is, and it's that it's the MR that depends, and it's the MR on which the melting and the boiling points depend. It's actually the number of electrons. Yeah. So it's the number of polarizable electrons in a certain molecule that on which the melting or the boiling point of a certain substance is dependent on. But coincidentally, when we increase the number of electrons, the
So
MR
MR भी बढ़ जाता है. Exactly.
Yeah.
सही है. So the characteristic smell of garlic is due to जो भी ये चीज है. I mean like तो इस question में ये इस बकवास की क्या जरूरत थी? Like खैर है. What are the, like, out of nowhere Cambridge decides to care about concept and application, you know, like really. So what are
honestly.
So what are the approximate bond angles x, y and z in a molecule of जो भी ये अली वाली boy जो है. Okay, so vesper जो भी है, valence pair जो भी electron repulsion. So again, and remember here, you don't take pi bonds into account. So if you see a double bond, you can just very well consider it to be like a one singular bond. Like single bond or double bond, utna fark nahi padega. You care about lone pair and stuff like that. So carbon mein to sare, you don't have any lone pairs. So you have 3 bonds, which should be, I believe, 360 divided by 3 is like 120, right?
Yeah, trigonal planar structure.
Yeah, and even if you didn't know that, like देखो, दो 120 लिखे हैं तो most likely यही सही होगा, like.
You know, it doesn't work every time.
I know, but like if अगर कुछ भी नहीं आता तुक्के मारने तो फिर so yeah, it same goes with this carbon because it also has 3 bonds, like, you know, 1, 2 and जो पहले वाला है. So again 3 bonds, no lone pairs, so that is again trigonal planar 120 degrees, and which basically gives you your answer. But let's still continue. Z में अगर देखो, so you have 1, 2,
4 single
3,
bonds.
4 bonds, no lone pairs or bond pairs apart. 4 bond pairs.
Structure.
Yeah. Tetrahedral structure 109.5 or 109 इन्होंने लिखा है, पता नहीं. खैर है, इतना चलता है. So you have 5C. Right?
Yeah.
So which gas sample contains the fewest molecules? I guess you're going to use either, if I'm right, PV is equals to nRT.
Yeah.
So now a few things about this. Remember that this is in Kelvin. So which is basically your degree Celsius. Excuse the handwriting. Plus 273.
0.15.
हम केमिस्ट्री में तो नहीं लगाते ना.
यार से नौशाद ने सिखाया है. So
यार केमिस्ट्री में आप 273 कर लो. R is gas constant, which for some reason मुझे याद है, but वैसे you can check.
8.31.
Yeah. But you know, like, you can very easily go to your first page of your data booklet, and you'd have, there is this, yeah, you'd have it here. So no worries.
I wonder why they gave us the Planck constant here.
पता नहीं, मतलब किसी को use करना हो, like, you know, who are you to
Roy's equation, yeah.
So this is pressure, this is volume. Again, not in, it's in pascals, right? And pascals, and ये क्या है? ये किस में होता है? I don't think it's in decimeter cube. I think it's in क्या? Meter cube?
Meter cube होना चाहिए.
Yeah, so for that we multiplied for decimeter cube. तो ये सारी चीजें याद अभी याद है, हमने ये भी सब कुछ होता था. But decimeter cube to meter cube, we used to multiply by 10 power minus 3.
We're going to multiply it by 1,000, yeah.
Divide, मतलब divide by 1,000 होगा ना, like you're going from a
divide by 1,000, क्योंकि it's meter cube is a bigger unit, so the value is going to be smaller.
Yeah. So if we're correct, we're going to do this, and either the kilo conversion is pretty easy. So here you basically just go on. If it says molecules, नहीं molecules बोला ना, atoms की तो tension नहीं है, right? So we just calculate the number of moles, and जिसके कम number of moles हैं उसके ही कम number of molecules होंगे, right? Yeah. So अब ये how do you save time on this? This is like हमने कैसे किया था ये चीजें? So this would require a lot
because you don't need conversion. In this question, because you really don't have to find out the exact number of molecules that are present. So अगर हम convert ना भी करें तो it would work just fine for this specific question.
Volume को तो दफा कर दो, because volume तो सब में same है, सही है? हाँ. If you look at it, the temperature is either towards the higher end, and if you just make n the subject here, so you have PV.
P over T का ratio जिसका सबसे ज़्यादा होगा वो.
सही है. And
that's what we're looking.
Basically, so this is it. R is constant, we don't care. Volume in this particular question is constant, so P over T basically. So for that आप calculate कर दो. So just to be on the safe side, so पूरा कर लेते हैं. So 2000 divided by plus 273 करना चाहिए, कर लेते हैं. Say 27 plus 273. So ये आपका कहीं 6.66 आ रहा है. Then you have 2000. Well, that's kind of obvious. We shouldn't have done this, because we want high pressure but low temperature. So what we shouldn't do is this, because इसका pressure same है but temperature ज़्यादा है, तो B तो नहीं होगा. So let's इसका कोई 6 point something आ रहा था, 6 point ऐसे ही 6 ऐसे ही इसका कर लेते हैं. So you have 4,000 divided by 300 plus 273, which is like 6.9, which is more, unless I made a calculation error, which is very possible. 250 plus 273. Say, and this is 5 point buck something. So this is bakwas. So your answer is C. So yeah, basically just calculate P over T and keep getting moles, number of moles, because 1 mole has 6.02 into 10 to the power 23 molecules, right? So number of moles come, the molecules come. So that's the idea. Oh wait, we had to calculate fewest, right? Whoa, my bad. So what we know for sure कि अभी के आपका sorry A and C तो नहीं है, ये तो पता है आपको. D was something 5 point कुछ आया था. D check कर लेते हैं. यार ये क्या हो रहा है यार, like
यार मैं बंद कर दो. ऐसे we cannot put this one up. Please. No.
It's okay. We can put this up. You just look very funny though. Like, I mean, like, तो हमने question गलत पढ़ा. That doesn't mean हमें chemistry नहीं आती. It means हमें question पढ़ना नहीं आता. Like, it means we're dumb, but we're not too dumb. But I
remember reading it Fewest. It's in bold. I remember reading Fewest.
So this is 5.36. So I think यही है. Because the other one was coming out to be, let's see, and I'm not calculating the entire value, I'm just calculating P over T. Yeah, 5.7. So your answer would be 6B. So yeah, so after a great deal of difficulty, because we didn't read the questions, I said, we got right in the end. So yeah, so a student mixed, just keep it going. A student mixed 25 centimeter cube of this concentration HCl with an equal volume of 4, so ये भी 25 centimeter cube here, equal volume, right? Of this much NaOH. The initial temperature of both solutions was 15. The maximum temperature required was 30. Using these results, what is the enthalpy change of neutralization of hydrochloric acid? So if I remember correctly, it was आपका अगर आप equation बनाओ, so that would be हमने HCl कर दिया plus NaOH. So and आपको जो ये आ रही थी value, which is NaCl plus H2O, it's too lazy to write all of that. Or in fact, let's just push through. Come on, we can do this. We can write all of this. H2O. So yeah.
Yeah.
Enthalpy change of neutralization पूछ मांगी है, जो हम कैसे निकालते थे यार ये तुम
Temperature change होता है MC delta T से.
so
Mass we would take as 50 grams into the specific heat capacity, which is 4.12 into the temperature change, that's 15, I suppose. Yeah.
4.18 नहीं था क्या?
And get 4 moles. Huh?
4.18 नहीं था specific heat capacity of water ले रहे.
4.18.
वैसे again वैसे it's given in your data booklet, if you don't want to be overly edgy. किधर है? हाँ, so 4.18. Oh, and interestingly, so this is a confusion that I had. Either it was per Kelvin, some places are written degrees Celsius, but understand it's change in temperature. So change Kelvin में हो degree Celsius में हो कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. It's the same thing, because to convert you just add 273, right? So yeah, so you're saying we'll take mass and volume ले लेते हैं. We just assume volume to be mass in these cases, like so. So 25 plus 25 gives us 50. C is 4.18, and change up Kelvin में लेके आ जाओ, जिसमें देखा जाओ the value will be the same, is 15. So yeah, so this is the total energy produced, which is 50 into 4.18 into 15, which is like 3135.
Yeah. And it's by 4 moles, right? So would we divide this by 4?
Moles calculate करने पड़ेंगे. 25 divided by the way you calculate moles, N is equals to CV. So that's 25 divided by 1000 to make it into decimeter into 4. This is 0.1 mole basically. But इधर क्योंकि किलो में लिखा हुआ है, so पहले we'll convert your total energy, divide by that by 1000 to make it kilo. Then we'll divide it by इधर हम 1 mole ही लेंगे ना, या कितना moles लेंगे? एक 1 mole of
I think enthalpy change of neutralization होती है वो it's the amount of energy produced in the making of 1 mole of water. That's what it is. So in this case एक ही mole बन रहा है.
Because if you have 0.1 moles of HCl, you'll have 0.1 moles of H2O. So if we do that, we divide 3135 by first 1000 to get kilo joules of energy. Then we divide by 0.1 mole. So we should get 31.35, which is like 31.4, which is B. And all of these are exothermic. So उसमें तो tension नहीं है. 7B. So HOCl is the molecule that kills bacteria when chlorine is added to water. Acha, interesting. Never. Next time I go swimming, like so the following reaction produces this molecule. Which statement about this reaction is correct? So oxidation and reduction. So like either they could, because it's an elemental form में तो Cl2 the oxidation state 0 है. If we see here, so HOCl is H positive होता है, 2 negative, Cl plus sign आता है ना, +1. And the way we know this, we know that H positive hota hai, oxygen is 2 negative oxidation state. Chlorine can have variable oxidation states, and hence just to balance it out, like it all adds to 0, it has +1. So yeah, and we have the rest. Chlorine is both oxidized and reduced, and that is the correct answer. In fact, this is a very common disproportionation reaction to basic dekhi idea ho jana chahiye. But the basic idea that what we're trying to say here is that you mark this 0 say it's gone to +1, increase in oxidation state, that's oxidation, and at the same time it's gone to -1, which is reduction. So that's the idea. So let's continue. 9. All the reactants and products of an exothermic reaction are gases. Mashallah. Which statement about this reaction is correct? The total bond energy of the products is less than the bond energy of the reactants, and the enthalpy change for the reaction is negative. Okay, so that's interesting. I say exothermic, yeah, so enthalpy change is obviously negative. So you can cut B and you can cut D. So
Mhm.
yeah, so your chances of getting it wrong now are only 50%. Wait, instead of 75%, 50%. So that's pretty good odds. So that was one total bond energy of the products come here, then the total bond energy of the reactants, and the other one is the total bond energy of the products is more of the than the total bond energy of the reactants. Well,
I think C makes more sense.
so if you look at this, your energy profile may you've gone down, right? So you should
Yeah.
now have less energy if you're looking at it correctly. So the bond energy of the product should be more than the bond energy of the reactants. So we have C. 9C.
Hmm.
Oxidation of ethane dioide will okay, whatever ethane dioide ions by acidified magnate ions is a very slow at room temperature. M2 positive ions catalyze this reaction. So yeah, very nice. Which graph shows how the concentration of acidified magnate ions varies after ethane dioide ions are added? So हो basically ये रहा है कि so manganate ions are this stuff, ethane dioide ions is this stuff, and we're saying कि manganate ions की concentration कैसे vary करे, how should it vary when once you keep adding this? So you increase as you're increasing this, how should this happen? And the answer is somewhat it should start off with a higher value, which eventually goes down because this is then converted into Mn2 positive and so on.
And Mn2 plus catalyzes the reaction, so I think the rate of reaction has to go up at a
Yeah.
certain
Huh.
point where Mn is being
So
produced.
basically, you can cut A and C directly because concentration is starting from a high to low value. But it's being used up, right? So, in fact, wait, shouldn't just be B then? So like, 'cause this is also concentration be increased over here.
Huh.
So like, okay, but we didn't need to use the what we used to call this something when it catalyzes, when the product catalyzes. Auto catalyst, something of that sort. So
Catalyst.
but the idea is rate is again change in concentration over time. So idea over here is just to look at the gradient, and if the steeper the graph, but the more the gradient, I'm just not taking the signs into account, the more the rate. वैसे तो इधर tension नहीं, because D is also clearly wrong, because concentration shouldn't increase, it should decrease as it's getting used up. But
Yeah.
just in case they had given a more difficult question, then you'd realize since Mn2 positive catalyzes the reaction, and जितना ज़्यादा बनेगा उतना ज़्यादा Mn2 positive बनेगा. So in the later on stages where Mn2 positive ज़्यादा बन रहा है, it should catalyze the reaction. Ergo, while पहले आपका if you draw tangent आपका gradient इतना नहीं था, बाद में gradient बहुत ज़्यादा हो जाना चाहिए, which is basically what happens. And then
And the rate
eventually,
of reaction then काफी कम इसलिए हो जाता है क्योंकि आपकी concentration of manganate ions बहुत कम हो जाती
हाँ
है.
फिर तो मतलब खत्म हो रहे हैं, तो लाइक कैटलिस्ट जो भी क्या कितना कर लेगा, तब तो बिल्कुल.
और अगर autocatalytic नहीं होता ना तो answer would have been C.
Oh, sorry. Okay. We messed up, Sorsa. I mean, we didn't mess up, but we messed up in our answering. So you can cancel A and D. Sorry, C to come ho raha hai, and you now would have been confused between B and C, and the reason it's not C is because not autocatalytic, because rate of reaction either kabhi, in fact, either rate of reaction is the highest here where it's the steepest, and then it just keeps the rate of reaction just decreases as the gradient starts to decrease. If my tangents make sense. So it should be B. 10B.
Second order या third order reaction लग रहा है. It's so steep.
Let's not put A2 into this.
Okay.
So we'll just quickly check our answers. So we have 1C, 2B, 3D, 4C, 5C, 6B, 7B, 8A, 9C, and 10B. So we're good so far. We got all of them right, even though we read a few questions wrong. But so yeah, so we'll continue this in the next video.